Welcome! Black Friday and Cyber Monday are right around the corner, and if you're a sewing enthusiast like me, this is the perfect time to grab those sewing supplies and tools that you've been eyeing all year long. Today, I'll be sharing 9 must-have sewing items that are not only worth adding to your collection, but are perfect to grab during these sales. These aren't just random deals. These are practical, everyday items that you'll actually use, and Black Friday is the perfect time to save big. So let's dive in. So I'll be breaking this down into 3 separate sections to make this easier to digest. The first section is tools, the second section is supplies, and the third section is storage items. Now the first item on our list is a sewing machine. Given that a sewing machine is essential to the sewing process and that it can be the most expensive item that you'll purchase related to sewing, this is a great time of year to take advantage of the existing sales and get the sewing machine that you really want. I've already seen great deals coming from Amazon, Sewing Parts Online, SewingMachinePlus.com, and Joann Fabrics, and it's not even technically Black Friday or Cyber Monday yet. So now is a great time to either put this on your list for someone else to get you, or to go ahead and gift yourself that sewing machine that you've been wanting. Now, if you don't know where to start in terms of choosing the best sewing machine for you, I've created another video for this, and I will link it up in the card here, I think, as well as in the description below and at the end of the video. Now, what sewing machine do I recommend? Well, I have the Singer Stylus 7825, I believe, and I think it is the most wonderful machine. It has any variety of stitches that I could want. It came with 8 presser feet included. It has a automatic needle threader, bobbin winding included, and it has a strong metal frame and can handle a variety of different sewing types. Now, it's not being made anymore, but you can still find it either refurbished or a few new left at sewingpartsonline.com. I'll put a link to that in the description below. Now, the second item is Fisker's 3-piece cutting set, which comes with the self-healing cutting mat, the rotary cutter, and the acrylic ruler. This cutting set is essential because it comes with all of the items needed to use a rotary cutter. Personally, I find cutting with a rotary cutter to be much easier and much smoother, and is a better way to achieve a smooth, clean cut down your fabric without worrying about fabric shifting or getting those jagged edges that can sometimes happen with regular scissors. And of course, if you use a rotary cutter, you're going to need a self-healing cutting mat to ensure that you don't damage your workstation. Secondly, the acrylic ruler is essential in helping to ensure that straight line and smooth cut when you're cutting your fabric. It helps keep the rotary cutter in the correct position as well as the fabric. Now, a 3-piece cutting set like this can normally cost anywhere from $45 when there's a deal to as much as $75. This can be quite pricey, but it is really a great item to have. So while this is a great tool, it can be a little bit pricey, but I highly recommend it. And that's why it's a great item to take advantage of Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals. Right now, I'm seeing as much as 30% off on Amazon and 40% off on sewingpartsonline.com, and that's just the initial deals as of today's filming. I'm sure there'll be a greater discount when Black Friday and Cyber Monday actually roll around themselves. So keep an eye on those because you can really snag a great tool for a much better price during this shopping season. Now, the third deal to watch out for is a good iron. Ironing and pressing your fabric is essential during the sewing process to ensure that professional look of your projects. Now, I don't know if you've had the struggles that I have had, but for the longest time, I struggled to find a good iron. I had a lot of trouble with them either not getting hot enough or the water coming out of the bottom of the iron and then staining the iron, which then stained my fabric when I ran the iron over it and ended up with like burnt spots on everything. And this happened with like 3 different irons. Weird. Anyway, I did not really achieve a smooth ironing process until I finally got a really good iron. And now these can be a lot pricier. Before, I was dealing with like $10 to $12 irons, and when I finally upgraded to like, I think it was either $50 or $60, finally got a good iron. Now, the particular iron that I have that has made a huge difference in my sewing and saved a bunch of headache that I was having with those cheaper irons is this Singer iron, which is specifically designed for sewing. Of course, it has all of the normal settings, such as the steam settings on the side here and the temperature settings, as well as the steam buttons here. But it also has some added features that help, like this extra pointy end that helps you get into those difficult to reach places while pressing an item. Additionally, it has this stainless steel bottom, which, as you can see, does not have any burnt marks on it. This has made a huge difference in comparison to those coated non-stick iron bottoms. The advantage of this stainless steel bottom is that it glides easily over the fabric, it resists scratches, it heats up quickly, arguably hotter, and it's generally long lasting compared to other type materials. And as I said, I haven't had any problems with water coming out of the holes at the bottom and ruining the iron or my fabric, so added plus. Now, it is a little bit pricier than a normal iron, but it's well worth the cost, and that's why it's a great time to take advantage of Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals. Now, you can get this iron from Amazon or directly from the Singer website. I'll put a link to both down in the description below. Now, the next item is sewing scissors. Now, of course, as I mentioned, I'm a huge fan of the rotary cutter, but sewing scissors are still needed. And I'm seeing a lot of deals on sewing scissors right now. If you don't have any, or if your scissors have become dull, then now is a great time to get a new pair. Now, I don't remember exactly where I got these, so I might not be able to link these specific ones, but I'll put a link to some deals that I'm seeing in the description below. Just keep in mind that I haven't used those scissors specifically and do not specifically endorse them. I just want you to know where the deals are. Now, the last item in this section is a magnetic seam guide. This is perfect for helping you keep your seams straight when you're sewing, especially if this is an area that's particularly challenging for you. What it does is just magnetically attaches to the machine wherever you want the seam allowance to go, which is this line here, and then you lift up by pressing this bar so that the fabric slides right underneath, and then you're able to ensure that as long as you keep the fabric against the edge of this magnetic seam guide while you sew, then you'll have a perfectly straight seam every time. Now, I wouldn't really have thought of this one, except I'm seeing a bunch of discounts pop up for this. Now, I got this from Amazon. I'm seeing the deals on Amazon, so I'll put a link to this in the description below. If you're struggling to sew seams straight, this is definitely a good option for you. Now, the next section is supplies. One of the supplies that I'm seeing discounts on and that would be great to have on hand is additional zippers or a multi-pack of zippers. Now, you can always purchase individual zippers like this or like this whenever you need them, but they do add up in cost when purchasing them individually. You can definitely save money if you go for a multi-pack of zippers. So if you're someone like me that anticipates using a lot of different zippers or just wants to have those kind of supplies on hand for whatever project that I'll need it for and ensure that I have the appropriate colors available, then a multi-pack of zippers is the way to go. I ordered this 80 piece of 14-inch nylon zippers that features at least 20 colors from Amazon to ensure that I had whatever I needed at any time. Now, you can get bulk zippers of 9 inches, 12 inches, 14 inches, and longer, whatever you want. I just wanted to make sure that I had whatever I needed for any project that might pop up. And in the long run, this has saved me a lot of money. And right now, I'm already seeing discounts on bundles of zippers. So it's a great time if you want to get a supply on hand. Now, the last item in this section is thread packages. One always needs more thread, right? And if you're like me, just like the zippers, I like to have a variety of thread colors on hand so that I'm ready for any project. A great way to achieve this is to buy a thread bundle or like a package of either 15, 25, or 50 thread spools. This is an extremely economical way to get a bunch of thread spools on hand, as these can run anywhere from like $2 to almost $5 individually. A package of multiple thread spools can really save you a lot of money. Now, this is another item that's on sale right now and will probably continue to be through Black Friday and Cyber Monday. So if you're looking to get a lot of thread this is definitely something to either grab yourself during the sale or to put on your list for someone else to get you. I'll put a link down to a few thread packages in the description below. Now, if you're enjoying this video, please hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this, as well as beginner sewing tips and tutorials. Now, the last section is storage items. Given the scale of Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals, it's great to take advantage of these to get some of those larger storing items for your sewing space. Now, the first item on the list is a sewing table. Personally, I find a sewing table has really helped with my efficiency and my sewing, and just providing me an opportunity not only to store all of my supplies, but to keep my sewing machine up and ready to go, which allows me to sew more often. I would spend maybe 15 minutes trying to put my sewing machine up and another 15 to put it away. So when I didn't have a dedicated sewing space, I basically had no time to sew. Like, that 30 minutes was gone in just setting up the machine and taking it down again. If you have a dedicated sewing table, this allows you more time to be able to sew. Now, there are a variety of sewing tables out there. There are ones where you can just sit it on top like mine and has a couple sewing drawers, or there are ones where your sewing machine sets into the table and the sewing surface is level with the table. Forgot what it's called, but you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, given that these are big furniture items, it's a great time to purchase a sewing table if you're looking for one, or if you're just looking for that advantage of having your sewing machine and supplies all ready to go instead of having to go through the trouble of getting it out and putting it away each time. Now, I particularly like my sewing table. It's closer to countertop height, and it has two really large drawers in the front that allows me to sew almost all of my sewing tools and things that I would use at the machine, as well as lots of the rulers, the extra thread, etc. This one, I believe, was part of a Martha Stewart craft collection that I don't think is available anymore. If I can find it, I'll put a link down in the description below. Now, I recommend that you just do your research and find whatever you want and whatever you think will work best for you. But I happen to like this one just because it's a nice, clean tabletop surface that gives me a lot of working space. There's enough space for cutting on one side and sewing on the other, and then the large drawers just allow me a lot of space to store my supplies. Personally, I just didn't like the ones where the sewing machine sat in there, plus I felt like the workstation was a little bit smaller, so that's why I really like this one. So I'd recommend it, but if I can't find this specific one, I'll put a link to a similar one in the description below. Anyway, since this is just typically an expensive item, it's a great time to take advantage of all the deals. Now, the last item in this section is a craft utility cart. Now, while my sewing table allows me to store most of the things that I need while I'm actually sewing, such as scissors, pins, all that kind of stuff, the craft utility cart is where I'm able to store all of the extras, like all of the extra zippers, ribbons, bias tape, all the hooks and the buckles and the boning and the elastic, all of the just like extra stuff, where there's just a bunch of it, and I'm not actively using it in every sewing project, so don't necessarily want it cluttering up my table, but I do want a place to keep it organized and stored. So that's where I use the craft utility cart. Now, you can get these at places like Joann Fabrics, Michaels, and Amazon, and a lot of them are basically the same, but they're really handy, and they have different hooks and racks for ribbons and things like that. They're really handy, but they can be a little bit on the pricey side, with like maybe $50 or $60. And so if you're looking for additional space to store your sewing supplies, or you don't have a sewing table yet, then the Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals make this a great time to make such a purchase. I'll put a link down in the description below to the one that I have. Well, there you have it. That's 9 must-have sewing items to be on the lookout for deals for during this shopping season. Now, let me know in the comments below what are some of the deals that you've been seeing, and what sewing supplies are you looking for this year? Now, if you're looking for a sewing machine and you want to know how to choose the best sewing machine for you, then you may want to check out this video. And if you'd like to know more about some supplies that you need to get you started on your sewing journey and see if any of these might also have deals, then I would check out this video. Thanks for watching.